Welcome to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, the podcast where we head down the road of the supernatural and beyond. So, sit back and hold on as we take a ride together to what lies in the unknown and beyond the veil. Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson presents guest host Jim Hunt. Jim is an acclaimed psychic medium who became aware of his sixth sense at the early age of 5. Born in Montreal to a half-native psychic mother, he was raised, nurtured, and guided by both the living and the dead. He was called to live out his soul's mission to guide, educate, and serve. Over the years, Jim has helped thousands of people around the globe set and achieve goals both personally and professionally with his unconventional methods. His out-of-the-box approach to solving problems comes naturally. I've never fit into what society deems as normal. It was an issue for me growing up, but now I see it's my greatest asset. Overcoming his own struggles and challenges make him that much more empathetic to his clients. He walks the walk, and his clients appreciate his humility. And now your host, Daniel Jackson, with psychic medium and life coach Jim Hunt, in part 1 of Bigfoot, aliens, shapeshifters, and more.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me, Daniel Jackson. Today, we have psychic medium on our show, Jim Hunt. Jim, how are you doing today?
Daniel, I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to enjoy this time and let's just have some fun together and give some explanations to things that people don't really understand, maybe.
Yes, they need these explanations. They're so inquisitive about these explanations. They want the answers. But I find, and you'll probably understand what I'm saying, but I find a lot of people, they want proof. They want something that they can hold in their hands or what have you. So they want some type of proof that this is happening. They don't seem to get that proof until they get that, that wow factor. What do you think about that?
Well, part of the problem in the situation with our world today is we've been so dehumanized with all our technology that we have out there.
Conditioned.
And we're looking at our paranormal hunters, and they use every tool known to man, and that's a wow factor for them. Whether
Sure.
it means something to the audience is important. You and I, we are the tools. We are
Yes.
and I mean that in a nice way. We're just
The
not
conduit.
a tool. Yeah. And we're able to work with the dead, with the sounds, with the vibrations, and with the spirit world, who give us as much respect as we give them.
Yes.
And when we do that, the calling is there. We answer the questions. We talk about things. And for me, it's pretty well, they get answers that other people wouldn't know when I'm returning a message back to a
Yes.
client or to somebody. And that's their wow factor.
Yeah, that's their this is actual proof to me, and this is what they're looking for. Like, well, whenever I do a reading for someone, I always say you may not get the reading you want, but you will get the reading that you need.
There you go. And I've been like that forever. No bells and whistles. We have a lot of fun with it. There is some sadness attached to some of these things that we talk about.
Do you keep a box of tissues with you?
When I was able to be pre-COVID, I must have kept Kleenex in business myself. But
you had stock in it.
But I did. But the idea behind some of that is I find that the tears are a release of the emotions that they never got through in the first place. And it's genuine. And, we're giving them solid answers that they've been looking for. And I love that part of my work.
Yeah, me too.
It's the
other stuff?
Yeah. The difficult stuff that people might not want to hear or misbelieve, and just like human nature, they will either bully us or make it difficult for us to be in their presence because they just can't handle that form of spiritual truth.
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to say they can't handle the truth, and they only want the good answers. They only want the pot of gold. They don't want the road that takes them to the pot of gold.
It's right. And we all have to work on our journeys, and that's what our souls are here for, one after the other. And when we become really aware of our abilities spiritually, we tend to, you and I, who've been maybe back here multiple times, we have been,
Oh boy.
we catch up to ourselves quite quickly.
Yes.
And I find that it is like in increments of 3 years, all of a sudden oh yeah, I feel this, or I know this, or
Yes.
within 10 years, all of a sudden, I'm not the same spiritual guy I was before.
No.
Now I have more information for you. And we're learning like everybody else is, but we're absorbing and we don't lose it again. So that
Right.
inner strength of spirituality just lasts with us forever, to our next life at least.
Yeah, these are things that we're learning how to do a little bit differently now. Now we get to put those experiences in our Rolodex of things we learned how to do, and now the next time we go into something, now we have something else we can pull from.
Something tangible for us, not
Yes.
always the person that we're trying to give
Right.
the message to, but
Yeah,
they
they don't.
get it
The person we're giving a message to doesn't realize we're doing that. So
at all. And it's the work. It's the work behind our spirituality again.
yeah,
They don't know how we operate when we have four voices happening on the left side saying, "Give them all
right,
this information," and then be able to speak to them without a hesitation or a doubt,
right,
or
right, because they
identify
want an answer like
right
that.
away. Yeah.
And they don't realize we're getting a lot of answers all at one time, but we have to decipher which one is the best one to give them so it'll make sense to them as well.
Because they'll get it from either the light or the dark side or the intermediate side that is in
Yeah.
a turmoil. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, good point. Sir. Good point. Yeah, again, that's why I like to have different people on the show because, but I always, the way that I get answers, so the way that I get answers, we'll talk about how you get answers.
Sure.
The way that I get answers, they put thoughts into my mind, but it's mine's always changing all the time. In the very beginning, when I found out I was this, because I didn't find out until about 6 years ago that I was this. I'd seen spirit my entire life. I just didn't know why.
Okay.
But they, at one point, they tested me to see if I was going to move forward with this or not, and I did. And that was right before I turned 50. I'm getting ready to turn 56. But the way that they bring me answers, they put thoughts into my mind. And me, myself, I'm changing because they're changing me, so I'm able to communicate and see them better, hear them better, feel them better and stuff. So my own thoughts are not per se mine
They don't belong
anymore.
to us. They don't.
Yeah,
belong.
my own thoughts are only like 15% me, and the other 85% is them. They're just coming in constantly. And then they also touch me for answers as well, for yes and no
That's
answers.
uncomfortable sometimes.
Well, it started out as 2 touches, one here and one here.
Nice.
And I knew the names of who was doing it. Now I'm up to 38. But I get those touches here for yes answers.
Okay.
Whoever's touching me, whatever touch I get, I just know exactly who it is. But then I get, but no matter what, I still get one yes answer for a universal yes. But that's all. No matter where the yes is, it's just yes. But then when I get a no, it feels like a tear running down my face. But the other ones feel like blood dripping across my face.
That's very interesting. Wow.
So yeah, and then I see them during the day as well. I see regular spirit all day long. It just never turns off. But I see where I get my information from, which what we would call archangels, not men with wings or anything like that. And when I see them during the day, it's like if you see someone smoking a cigarette and the little petals of smoke come off, that's what I see. Like when I'm staring at you, that's what I see right here the whole time. It never goes away. And that's during the day, but at nighttime, I physically see their faces. They don't look like people. So like if I'm riding my motorcycle down the road and I say, I want to take a right-hand turn here, they say, no. I go, no, you want me to take the next right-hand turn? And they say, yes. You know what was going to happen at that right-hand turn? I don't know, and I don't care. Because they're looking out for our best interest. So that's what I pay attention to. So that's the way that I get answers. How do you get them?
Well, if you look behind my head, that big fat head of mine, those are the spirits of a psychic artist that she sees behind me every day. So
What?
I have yes, and it's trying to communicate with multitude of spirits who have messages, and not all of them are clear. And
right.
For me, it is when I know that I'm getting the right answer, everything comes to my left side. Everything, the spiritual side, the heart chakra side.
Yeah.
And I feel it right away. The right side, I get as cold as ice. and I know that I'm getting an answer, but it always comes with their terms. It comes with something that I don't want to share. So
Right.
that, and that's where I'm very careful with. And what people don't understand in our regular world is I end up getting punished by a nightmare by not sharing it, or feeling insecure because of something that I would not repeat after they gave me the right answer. They're mischievous, but they give you a good answer.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But like you said, they have terms to that answer as well. And
Yep.
they,
And
and some of them, they really do want their message to come out. But
they
if
do.
you know that that message is not going to work for the person that you're giving it to, then yeah,
Do you
then
not
we are the ones who pay for it.
right, Daniel? Do you not find that you can sit with a person that is sitting with you or anyone around you, and you can see their level of appreciation or their energy field saying they
Right.
will accept what we're going to give them, or they're ready
Right.
to throw us into the fire. I get that energy. I get yes or no
Yeah.
for a lot of people. The confused ones need to think about it, come back to me in 48 hours and just say, what you said was right, but there's always a but. And I'm going, I don't work on buts. There's
No, me either.
this or that. You're not going to get a confused answer from me. And
It's
sometimes
one
it's
or the other. It's very cut and dry, black and white.
it is. And we're not being dry or sarcastic or rude.
No.
This is the information we're getting. They just don't like to hear it the way we're giving it to it because
Yeah.
we're not. I had a TV show and you had to give it the information a little bit more softer than what we normally do.
So that a TV audience can handle it.
Yes. And towards the end of that series, I refused to do it. And I
Yeah.
started giving the answers that I knew. And this is why. And, for the Aboriginal, the native side, when they were suffering, I'm going to give you an answer, but you as a white man are not welcome back here again. Don't come back and ask me any more questions.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
say that out loud. I have no issues with it
Yeah,
whatsoever.
me either. I don't have a problem telling the truth,
Yep.
and that's the thing. And they don't want the truth. They want for that type of thing. They just want ratings, and they don't want the truth isn't ratings to them. That's
Listen, we're not going to be out here to sensationalize an
no
answer for somebody because they're doing it with autonomy. They're doing it with love in most cases, or
right.
they're presenting something that if you cross this line, you are going to pay for it. So
Yes,
it does come off as very abrupt, but
a warning.
it is a warning. And if we're holding back on their warning, then they come back to me and they just say, "Well, I was in a car accident. Why didn't you tell me?" Because you weren't going to listen.
Right,
But
right. I use an analogy like in that way where I say, how do you tell when your spirit guides are talking to you? We get messages all the time, but you could be driving in a car and you see a car in front of you and you say, "Oh, I'm going to pass that car," but you get the gut feeling it says, "Don't pass the car." Well, you know what you do? Don't pass the car.
just
But
leave
how do
it
you
be.
know when someone's not listening? Because you're in the hospital later talking to your friend who just got into a car accident, and they tell you three words that make sense to you when they say, I saw that car in front of me. And then they say, "But I just knew." So say, you just knew. Well, that was your spiritual guides. That's your soul telling you,
And it
don't do
is.
this, but you tend just not to listen. So why am I going to continue to give you answers if you're not going to listen to me?
And a lot of the pressure that comes from that is the 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 desire of someone wanting that answer so excitingly, and then I always feel, not always, but a majority of the time, I can feel like I'm disappointing my client or I'm disappointing the person that I'm giving this information to because, like you said at the beginning, we're going to give them an answer, but it's not always the answer that they're looking for.
Right.
And with COVID happening, and our energies are different, and people are challenged by this energy. It's a lot more. Our energy of our world, our essence, our universe is very challenging right now. This Mercury in retrograde that started in September ends October 2nd. This is the hardest Mercury in retrograde in my 63 years of life. I have never faced anything as debilitating as this for my clients.
Right.
I know how to ground myself. I white light
Ourselves, that's
myself.
something different.
I inter I interfere with inverted mirrors. I do all the old school teachings from my Aboriginal side to protect me. But people don't do this because they think it's a bit of a hogwash thing, or it's a
They don't
little
have
bit.
time.
Yes, and I make sure I make time. From the time I wake up in the morning, before I brush my teeth, I white light and do the thing that I do, my ceremony, in the morning and at night. And it's a thank you to the spirit world, because
Yeah.
whether people wanted to hear from us or not, we're the conduit, we're the answers.
Yeah.
There's more out there who are 10 times better than me. And I tell people this every day. And they are too afraid to come out because of the chastising and the abuse that they're fearful of putting up with. And
Yeah.
it's
For
too
us,
bad.
it's more or less another way of coming out of the closet. We are admitting this is what we are and this is what we do, and when we do that, we're taking a chance because we know we're going to lose friends. We're going to lose people that we cared about during our time of being here, but in order to feel comfortable to be in this world, we have to be accepting of ourselves. So
We do. And in the last 15
it's
years of
hard.
doing this professionally, I've lost my friends, I've lost my family.
Yeah.
But I'm not regretting that. I'm not looking
No.
for a pity party. I'm actually relieved.
No, because we're doing something that's higher than that.
Yes. And we let
And
it be.
besides, we're all going to meet up again,
Oh,
later
yeah.
on down the
And we'll have a
line.
discussion about it over coffee,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, we'll be laughing about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We should be.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, yeah, they're the ones that decide to go there.
Yep.
You never know.
Yes.
So it says I got some talking points here from your.
Sure.
I'm going to go through a couple of them here, and
Absolutely.
so what spirits are asking the living? Help release the souls to the light. What are they asking the living to do?
I'm trying to understand the question, and I'm sorry about that, Daniel.
It says,
What?
what spirits are asking the living? What are spirits asking the living?
Oh,
Uh,
goodness. There's quite a bit that they're asking. They're the spirit world is sitting here watching Putin doing his thing,
yeah.
and they're asking the rest of the world, why are we putting up with fear of one man?
Why are we
Why?
putting up with this crap?
And our spirits and our guides and our own intuition going, am I going to wake up tomorrow and be fried to oblivious because this man wants to put a finger on a button because he wants his power?
Right,
And
because that's all he wants.
that's only, there's not
He doesn't
a
actually own that land. He doesn't own the land he lives on. He owns it for now until he dies, and then the next guy does, sort of.
yeah. You see, and I just got yelled at for saying that. You see, that's what happens.
Yeah,
But it's a part
but
of,
you have to say it.
if I don't say it because everybody's thinking it, and when everybody's thinking it and somebody comes out and says it, then hopefully it'll create that snowball effect of, we're not going to take this anymore. Why are we putting up with this man? And the Russian people themselves, that the Americas are showing that they're not listening to him anymore, and the abuse and all of this stuff, sending 300,000 boys to war to lose their lives.
Again, just another war, another person doing the same thing. We can't seem to learn this lesson. We just keep letting it happen over and over and over again.
But if you watch the film, when I'm watching it as a psychic, you see the spirits and the protectors and the angelics and the angels themselves coveting them because they died much too young. Their souls were not prepared to pass away at this time. That wasn't their soul's purpose, but one man made it their purpose.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to get across. And people think that I'm crazy when I talk like that, but it's the truth for me.
So when they yell at you for saying that, do you say anything back to them as for saying, hey, you know what? You want me to give them people your truth, but what about the whole truth? I can't just limit myself just to your answers. I have to give them a collective truth answer from everything that I'm getting and tell them what's really going on.
And what we need to try and do is understand that us as intuitives of any level, we're supposed to give all the answer that we're getting, not just to that particular person.
Yeah, I can't do a job just one certain way. I have to do my whole job, and I'm here too, and I'm human too. So I have to give them everything.
In the turn of the century to present day where we are now taking over from the pioneers who actually put this out there, and with the ingenuity of sophistication and what we have in tools to use, we're able to communicate better and respectfully and not be so closed by one community. Now we get the world to listen to us if we want
Yeah.
to. When I'm doing podcasts, it's so funny to hear someone from Australia, which I never would think would listen to a podcast about paranormal, but they're big into it. Or then you're sitting in Turks and Caicos and someone's on a vacation and they said that they were listening to us at the bar. So to me, that's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
we're being heard finally in a good way, not in a
Yeah,
negative
I
way.
do a lot of interviews on other shows as well, and I get people requesting to have me on from the UK and from all these other. I've done a couple in Australia, one in Bahamas. So I mean, I know
Yes.
it's working. I know the message of that is getting out throughout the world. I know there's over 1 million podcasters right now, so
There
they
is.
can't just be here. You know, they got to be all over the place. And
And I'm new to the podcast world
yeah, me
in
too.
being interviewed. And I just opened up my own podcast now called White Noise, and it's in its third session. And I'm loving every minute of it because I'm getting the people that want to talk, and it's not nonsense, and um, they're not dysfunctional people. They're
Right. They're just
regular
like
Joes
us.
like you and I.
Yeah.
And the only difference is um, I started the podcast and they get the ability to talk about their craft, what they do, how they heal, why they're doing it.
You're
They
learning
have,
something from them as well.
and that's the whole idea is
Yeah.
we want people to understand what we do.
Yeah, we want people to understand that we're people too. I mean, my wife says to me all the time, "Hey, word of God, it's time to go empty the dishwasher." Okay. Because it's time to do that, you know?
I just get they're not going to put away by themselves. So do you think
No.
that
Yeah, no.
don't invite your angelics to do it because they'll break the dishes? I
Yeah,
said,
they'll break
okay,
the
I'll
dishes.
help you.
They're just
Let me
going to
help you.
drop them wherever they want to. Yeah.
Totally.
So, messages from from the spirit world. What's the differences between that and the messages that are actually received?
So the messages from the spirit world, and the messages received are one of the same for me. I repeat what they tell me,
Me too.
whether I can't sugarcoat something that there's to
No.
explain it. First of all, if I would try and arrange the words in a different format, I would look foolish.
Yeah.
So I would rather them go, "You're full of crap. You're just inventing this." And I'm going, "This is a situation where you have to believe what you want to believe.
Yes.
But you just asked me the question. This is the answer." And
Yeah, free will.
again, they don't like it, right?
Yeah, or it doesn't resonate with them at the time. Like I went to my chiropractor maybe a month and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to the girls up front, and one girl said, "Do you see anybody around?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I see a woman here. She says she's your grandmother, and her name is Sally." And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Well, you know, maybe you'll think about it later. Who knows?" And then I went back like 3 weeks later, and she said, "Oh, Mr. Jackson, I talked to my dad. He said I have a great grandmother. Her name is Sally." And I said, like I tell everybody, "Yeah, I can't make this shit up."
And some of the things that we talk about could not maybe just be particularly in the recent life of our ancestors on this earthly plane. This
Right.
could have been from another past life and
Another past life. Yeah.
past life that comes up. And I get a lot of those because
Yeah, me too.
I watch, and for me, when I'm looking at someone, I see a movie screen behind me, and I get to watch everything, and they give me it in great detail, and I'm able to say, well, you were doing this, this, and this. This is why you are a doctor today, because
Yes.
you weren't doing that this time. You were actually hurting people. Now you're mending people.
Yes.
You changed your direction because
Yeah, you
know,
changed your this
your
is
soul's
your
purpose.
yeah, your soul's purpose. This is you fulfilling your purpose, and you're doing it now because you were not able to do it before because you just the previous lifetime maybe you were in a different role and you just didn't get to it. So
Yep. It's
yeah,
crazy, but it's true.
and hopefully when even just giving them, I think just giving them just that kind of little bit of information will get them interested to try to be um, more listenable to everything around what's going on around them and more aware of it, but maybe more susceptible to what we do. It may open their minds, open their hearts up to trying to understand it instead of just going second guessing it.
Yep. I'm a life coach, an intuitive life coach, and successful one at that. But I'm able to help people with a lot of their blockages because of their past lives and let them know. And it seems to hone in on their energy. They get it and they go, that makes a lot more sense to me. I was
Right.
suffering through this and I didn't have the courage to do so. But now I understand why, because of my past life. Now I
Right.
understand it. Now I'll conquer it. Now I'll move forward.
Yeah. Now
Those are
move
the
forward.
things that I love. I'm
Yeah.
moving a step forward. I'm not taking a step back.
Yes. Don't hone in on your past life. I mean, if your past life, I always tell people, if your past life was so important, you would have fulfilled your purpose. You wouldn't be here now.
You would, it,
You
not
would have
at
got it
all.
done.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's not a horror show. It's a
No.
lesson. It's a
No, it's just a
lesson.
lesson.
Yep.
Right. It's not a good lesson or a bad lesson. It's just a lesson and
It's just a
something you need to
lesson.
learn to do.
Yep, and keep it simple.
Yeah.
I
I
use the
give an
KISS attitude. So
I give an analogy with like if you're walking through a doorway and there's a nail in the floor and you trip over the nail, what's the lesson to learn? Go get a hammer and bang it in and walk through freely. But some people don't. They continue to trip over it 4 or 5 times. So maybe they're just a slow learner. Maybe they will get it. But then we know some other people who don't learn lessons at all. I used to work around those people. I worked in prison for 6 years. We call them inmates because they haven't figured out that they're not good criminals yet. So, but maybe they will.
they could.
Maybe someday. Everybody can make their own choices to do what they feel is best for them. And some people are always not always making the best choices for themselves. But in order to find out what is good for them, they have to go through some things that maybe aren't good for them. So
Our lower beings, soul levels, like when I see the very Neanderthal type personalities in today's world, I do see, I do see where they are held up high by an angelic or an ancestor to say, may we have permission to move him forward because he can't do it on his own. We
right.
don't want him to repeat
Nudge.
this again. So there's a nudge.
Yeah.
They feel the pain of that nudge, or they feel the emotion of that nudge and just say, I don't understand why I didn't do that earlier. Why didn't I do this? How come now I get it?
Right.
And the spirits are asking us permission for them to be nudged. And I'm going, you don't need my permission. You just go ahead and do it. Do it. But there seems to be a delicate issue where the spirit on our evolutionary for us to progress. And so it's done rarely, but when it's done, it's one of the most amazing things to see what happens right in front of you. And it's happened to me 3 times in my 60 years of life. And each time I've watched these people just take off and catch up to where they should have been in the first place.
Yeah,
awesome.
I've asked that question before when I've talked to my guides, because I've talked to them all day long.
Yeah.
And I said, do I actually have to give you permission to do this? And then I got a yes answer. And I go, really? Why would I have to give that's something so simple? Why do I have to give you permission to do that?
And I that's where I think that it's a dimensional spiritual connection where if you were in your 5th, 6th, or 7th dimensional view, they're not going to ask permission. They're just going to throw you into the wolves and you're going to deal with it.
Right.
But the lower dimensional ones themselves, as lower soul levels who are helping lower soul levels, I think they need that permission to do so. Or it's like I'm the teacher all of a sudden giving permission for the student to help that one grow because I can see what's going on.
Right.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. But again, we're human before we are total spiritual animals that we are.
Yeah, we're not back at home understanding why actually everything happens. We're here because, we need to be here to learn ourselves. So,
we do.
Yeah,
we do.
And we're still.
Can I ask you something now? And I'm the interviewer now.
Yeah, give me a question, Jim.
Here we go.
Listening. Yeah.
Have you ever had a hard time with an intuitive or a psychic who wants to give you a reading but is afraid to because they think that we're better than them or that they think that they're going to give us the wrong answer? And I look at them and I go, could you just shut up for 30 seconds? Just give me the answer. Be nice about it. And I'll listen to you. I will tell you what I feel. Don't be embarrassed by your thoughts and your feelings. This is where these intuitives need to step up to the plate to help us who've been around for a long freaking time. We want an answer too.
Yeah, I mean, I get answers, but the thing about this is I get answers for other people because they ask me questions. and I get answers for myself because I ask questions, but I don't always ask the right question for myself. So if someone else is asking it in a different way and they get an answer and they have something to tell me, just because I do this too doesn't mean I don't want answers, because we all want all the answers.
We're not
So,
perfect here, people.
right. So why not? Yeah.
So just throw it at us, and I'm willing to listen.
I'm not perfect. Look at the shirt I got on. Come on.
I'm jealous, actually, because I was going to wear something colorful because I'm always getting in crap for wearing plain clothing.
Go change. I'm all right.
I'll have to get my Bob Marley shirt out, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and in the words of Billy Joel, Jim, don't go changing. Okay. All right. And I was just, as soon as you were talking about being a life coach, I just looked down and said, psychic sessions with a life coach spin. Yeah, absolutely. So how do you, how do you bring the life coach in with this? Is that something separate that you do, or do you just
Absolutely
combine the
not.
both of them?
You have to, for me, I'm blessed with that ability to combine both. And I do 5 sessions. People are booked for 5 sessions, and it's almost like they're getting it in stereo, super stereo, with the best speakers possible, because what we're doing is we're clearing out their energy, we're realigning their chakras, we're opening up their third eye of confidence, and we're allowing their crown chakra to bring in any information that's there.
Right.
Whether they feel it or not is up to them, but a majority of them do.
Whether they choose to use it or not is up to them.
And exactly. So what I'm able to do, again, is unblock what blockages they have. I've worked with writers who have writer's block, and I'm just going, well, part of that was because you're in a time when both your arms were cut off in the war and you couldn't write anymore. And that's part of you're living that soul life over again. So let's return you back to that point, and let's visually put arms back on you when you lost them, and then you'll feel better. And they just look at me. That sounds simple, but they visualize that, and then their blockages of their writing skills came back again.
Right, because people, as we know, people need to either see things or be able to visualize within themselves,
And that's what I bring, is the visualization of what is blocking them, or what they're trying to achieve, or they're stuck in that soul-like pattern. And what I'm finding with a lot of people now is that they've outlived a majority of their past lives, and the vibration for them is new. So they don't know what they're doing or what their cause is. And so what we do is we do an inventory on themselves spiritually, figure it out, and then woof, off they go. The tree is growing. The apples are
self-inventory, correct?
Yep. And it works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you feel, because I asked this to all other mediums that I know, do you feel at the same time that when you're being a psychic medium that you're also being a psychic therapist at the same time with these people that you work with?
Absolutely. And the problem about that is the person that we're dealing with on the other side of the room, or the other side of the desk or the chair, they actually feel that. They know it, because we're giving them the answers that they almost already know, and they are getting reassurances again because of what we do and who we're talking to. If we're talking to Grandpa Jake, and Grandpa Jake said, hey, you should have sold that farm 10 years ago when you were told to sell it, and nobody else knew that, they're going, oh, okay, well then I'm going to sell it. Then they come back to you 2 years later and they just said, the burden has been left from my shoulders. Thank you very much. I've lived my life now. I'm having fun.
Right.
It's these kind of things. And the life coaching side of it, I'm giving them bare bones what they come in with, and give them an opportunity to increase their abilities to move forward without fear. That's my whole idea and my premise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because I tell people all the time, you got to get rid of these fears in your life. Think of all the places you might have gone or people you might have met without any fear in your life. I want to ask this person out, but what if they say no? Well, go ahead and find someone else, because there's another 7.5 billion of us somewhere.
We're just a nit in this whole universe, and people don't quite get it. I've been blessed to travel the world 1.5 times, so I've seen what I've not, and it's not tourism. This was business for me. This was working. And I got to eat meals with families who ate meals in Peru or Mexico or the Philippines, and learn their understand their personalities, and it gave me such a sense of purpose to want to be able to share my gift with these people.
Right.
Just
What are
use
their
a
lives
gift.
like? You
Yeah,
get a little glimpse of what their lives are like every day, and
yeah,
that adds to everything that you do and the
and it
experience
does,
of what you do.
because I've been around many lives. I know that, and it's about, if I can catch up to my last life and find out why I'm being held back or feeling tortured, I need to know why. And nobody's been able to help me on that one. So that's what
Yeah.
I work on, right? Because we feel tortured at times.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I'll use a different word here.
Sure.
What do you think about dark energies, dark spirits?
Okay. Um,
So I see them all the time. So I see spirit 24/7, never turns off, never goes away.
Thank you. You're
Um,
the first one that's admitted that to me. Thank you.
I see them in lit rooms.
Yep.
When I look at your like, but so my vision is different. So this came on once I said yes to everything. So when
Hmm.
I look at your room and I look at your wall is kind of like a whitish beigeish looking color,
Yep.
but I don't see that. What I see is I see that, but I also see a blue mist in everything. So I'm seeing energy all the time.
This was Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson with Jim Hunt in part 1 of Bigfoot, Aliens, Shapeshifters, and more. For more information about Jim, visit his website at jimhuntofficial.com and be sure to catch his podcast, White Noise. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.